If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the summer meet at Saratoga's Saratoga Today Show. I'm your host, Pete Visco. Today, we are going to be going through and previewing the late pick 5 at Saratoga. Luckily, we'll talk about this when my co-host comes on. Luckily, we just got all the scratches. We tried to fix our picks up to make sure we weren't including any scratched horses, but we can talk through everything as we get to it. Real quick, let me do a couple of administrative items. If you could see on the bottom, our YouTube channel, where you're hopefully either watching us now, or if you're on X or however you're watching, please go over to YouTube, join us in the chat. You can live comment during the show. We can bring them up on the screen and sort of chat along with you. Otherwise, subscribe, rate, review, hit the notification bell. That lets you know when, ad hoc shows pop up. Or if you're not in tune with our schedule, you could see all of our shows. Also, hit the like button. Lets the YouTube algorithm know that this is a show you enjoy, and it'll pop up in people's feeds. Also, if you're an audio listener, you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, basically anywhere where you want to listen or you have availability. We are there. Please check us out there if you don't want to watch live. Our on X, the HHH Racing podcast handle at HHH Racing Pod. Give us a follow. That's, Howard, our founder and leader. It's his handle, but it's also the handle for the show. So definitely check it out. Power picks. I won't go into too many details, but down below, there's a link to Patreon down below. If you go to the website, also tons of information about the power picks. You get them every Saturday, 2 to 3 tracks, spot plays, ABC grids, everything you might need, profitable, relatively cheap. So definitely check it out. Also, Saratoga and Del Mar individual power picks just for the summer meets. The deadline for Saratoga, July 17th. So even though it started this weekend and we're at the end of weekend 1, you could still sign up by the 17th for the rest of the meet. It's not prorated, so you'll get that going forward for the same price. But if you missed it and you still want to sign up, feel free. And then we have Del Mar individual power picks coming up as well. Deadline is the 24th. Same deal, a week after the initial weekend. And then we also have a combination Saratoga and Del Mar power picks where you could subscribe. You get both. That one, the deadline is also July 17th, just in time for the Saratoga one. All that information is available on our website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Go to the power picks drop down and it's very clear. It's very easy. All the information you need is there. So check it out. If you like it, please subscribe. And again, we have all the information on how to do that. And again, this show, if you're new to this show, Saratoga Today, we do it every Saturday and Sunday during the Saratoga Summer Meet. Saturday is generally covering, if we cover the late pick 5 on Thursday, we cover the early pick 5 on Saturday. If not, we'll cover the late pick 5 and then generally the late pick 5 on Sunday. So please join us for that. Now, let me bring on my co-host for the day, who is the newest member of the HHH team, and I have not shared the screen with officially from an HHH standpoint. That's my new friend, Chris Walsh. Hey, Chris, how's it going today?
Great, Pete. Great to be with you and everybody else in the chat. We got Bob Segura here. Katie, of course, is here. Raymond, Dave Duncan, Racing Downwind, Tom Espinoza, Jeffrey Wilson. Thank you all for joining us as
we definitely
dig into the late pick 5 here. And Pete, as you said, we just got the scratches. So
yes.
like 2 minutes before we started, and we really got lucky in trying to figure out who was going to be scratched and who wasn't. I think I only had one that I had to take off my list.
Yeah, it's the worst part is when we do this show, especially, and we're sitting there and like halfway through the show or 20 minutes into the show, the scratches come out and everything we talked about prior is a complete waste. So it's nice that we don't have to deal with that today. Like you said, we have a ton of people in the chat. Jeff Wilson is here. NYRA at its finest. Colonial ran just fine yesterday. you know what, Jeffrey, we're not going to complain today about why NYRA doesn't run on a bit of off turf. We're just going to leave that to the side. We're going to try and be positive and see if we can come up with some winners anyway. Let me ask you, Chris, real quick before, just a general question before we get in. On a day like today or a day like yesterday, does that tend to lessen how much you would play, lessen the sequence? What do you normally do on a day with all these kinds of scratches or off the turfs?
Primarily, I'm going to be looking for just easy win bets, things like that. And just, maybe an exacta here or there. I mean, Howard crushed that one yesterday in the Diana, which got him.
Yeah.
He ended up finishing third in that NYRA contest. So that was
I saw that.
Really listing up a lot, no pick fives. I don't play a lot of pick fives anyway. And, maybe a short pick four where I can press some opinions and just things like that. But on a day like today, especially with a lot of these mile turf races going to the Wilson Chute, it's a way different race in terms of how you have to handicap it and whatnot. I mean, post position on that chute is so important that you really have to lean inside.
Yeah, no, I agree. It makes it tough, and I'm with you where I tend to. It'll definitely lessen my play, and anybody in the chat too. Give some thoughts, and you guys can discuss it in the chat on whether you're inclined to lessen your handle on a day like this, or if you don't really care and you're just. There you go. Chris Couples, win bets, only super and pentafectus for me. I like it, Chris. Hey, whatever makes the money. Now, I always say this, it doesn't matter the scratches, doesn't matter the races, doesn't matter the caliber horse. The green that you cash for is the same regardless of what the race is. So if you have opinions, fantastic. All right, well, let's not waste any more time and we'll jump right in. We're going to start. Some creepy shirts to the right on my screen there, but we'll ignore those for a second. Race 6, maiden special weight, purse 100,000. We're going 5.5 on the dirt, correct? That one's staying at 5.5 from what I understand.
That's what I see as well.
That's what you see. So correct me if I say any of those wrong. We have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 horses in the mix, and I'm actually going to assume the favorite will probably stay the same. The 5 Augustinian is sitting at 3-1. Let's see who we are going with here in the newly. So Pete is going with myself, 10-4-5. Chris is going with 1-2-5. All right, Chris, I'll start with you every time here. Why don't you tell me, what do you like about this one? Final score, Pletcher Irad. That's a pretty good start right there.
Yeah, Pletcher Irad. I think this one, out of all, I mean, a lot of these horses are bred for turf. We've got a ton of first-time starters in here as well. Yeah. Only the 5 and 4 had run before. So from like a breeding perspective, I mean, the one isn't really exactly built for dirt. But again, I'm really handicapping this based upon post positions, and I didn't want to go any further out than the 5. I realized the 10 isn't in the 10 hole. He's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
he's pretty far to be out that wide. But the 1 for me was the top pick, and then here's Johnny, the second one for Red Handle and Flavian Brad. So you've got both top jocks, and Handle's 13% first time out. And then the 5 Augustinian, I'll let you talk about that one, but has run before, does need to break decently, and if he can just sit right back there, I think he can run right by him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing with the with the one of these, and actually, it doesn't necessarily have this. Oh, this is one I forgot. This is one, since there's so many starters, Timeform doesn't put the pace projector up, but I think you look at the 1 and at least you see, most of these horses anyway, they work on the dirt. So at least you get a decent feel for how they're working on the dirt. This one had a nice 47 work 2 back. And again, not this time, can usually run on pretty much anything out of a Bernardini mare. So I'm with you a little bit on that one. Yeah, here's Johnny, was a tough one. Looks very turfy to me, and I wasn't really I had some bad stats for Ray Handle on the turf, so I guess maybe he doesn't have to deal with those, so it's not a bad transition for him. I'll go down to the 10. So the 10 I liked on the turf more. There were just some really good breeding stats where I just thought, hey, I think this one might have a shot, and if we can get a nice price. But even again, you look 3 back, you get the real nice 47 and 3 work. comes back with a 48 work, then I assume more of a, hopefully more of a maintenance work. Last out, Golden Sense. So the breeding is, 10% wins, 2-year-old first time starters, 13 dirt sprints on the sire side. Dam side, 2 for 2 first time starters, and in dirt sprints in the top 2. So not a ton of experience on that side, but I think the only runner for that dam did win first out. So you know what? I was like, yeah, I like the 10. I know we don't like necessarily maybe the outside post, but I think Saez can be aggressive with this horse, put some speed into him. And if he can get this horse on the lead, and we've seen what the lead can do in some of these races at Saratoga. So I like the 10 here. I'll go the 4 is one who actually did run and debuted on the dirt. And it didn't run great, got out a little bit quick, was attending to sort of an early quick pace and then sort of faded late, but at least does have the experience on the dirt. I don't know. Did you look at the 4 at all? Any thoughts? Puts the blinkers on, so I assume we'll probably inject even a little bit more speed, even though Joel is, you never know what the hell he's going to do. I don't mind Joel when he gets on the lead. It's just a question of, is he actually going to do it? And that's always a problem. I don't know what you think about that.
When you said, what did you think when you looked at the 4? I looked at the 4 and who was riding the 4 and said no.
And said no. Yeah. See, some people. Yeah. He had, I think he had a win yesterday, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't remember which horse it was, but I thought he had one yesterday. So you never know. But it's not a positive. But again, I do think he's the kind of guy, if he gets on the lead, I think he's pretty good holding a lead. I question whether he's going to get his horse in the race. I didn't have anyone else. Is there anyone else? I think we probably covered most of them. The 7 Free State was one I didn't mind a bit, but you see all his works were on the synth. He seemed, out of Caravaggio, seemed like definitely more of a turf horse. I'm surprised they even left this one in, but he was one I was looking at early when it was on the turf.
Yeah, and Kevin Rice is 21%. First out with his horses.
Yes,
it's pretty good, and that's off of 24 starts. And I did say earlier this one was on the Wilson Chute. Obviously, it's not, but I still prefer horses on the inside. The only thing I would worry about your 10 with is when you get the outside horse like that without anybody out there, they tend to break outward lead that way, and that would be something that was one I didn't get.
No,
good to see it.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Farbridge was the winner. He was sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that one just sort of sat off, and you don't have to do a lot with Farbridge. Farbridge sort of generally makes. There we go. Thanks, Mitch.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a little. At least the rain is gone on Wednesday. Chris, is the first steeplechase is Wednesday of the meet. I assume that's a conversation going on in the chat. I don't have anything else on this one. Do you? You good to move on to the next one, Chris?
I am. We're moving on to the this one, Wilson Chute, and we're down to 5.
Yes, the 7th race, as we'll see here, we're going. It's an allowance purse 95,000. As Chris said, we're going a mile out of the Wilson Chute, and as you can see on the screen here, we are down to. Oh wait, do we have? We're down to.
We have more scratches coming.
Are there more scratches than I'm seeing on the screen here?
Yeah, no. We're down to the 110, 9, 12, and 8.
110, 9, 12, and 8. So the 14, 15, 16 are out in that one. Okay. Sorry about that. Equibase did not have that in there. So you are going, let's switch our banners up. In this race, I was going with 10, 14, 1. I assumed the 14 would be in the race. And you were going with 1, 2, 7. We'll start with you. As usual, you're going with the 1. Little Lang.
The 2 and the 7 are now out, so that's an update that we didn't have before.
Yep.
But Little Lang, 2 for 12, Flavian Pratt, Abreu.
Always nice.
Yeah, always nice combination. Again, it's the one hole. I prefer something close. I mean, I know there's only 5 of them here with the paddock pass. You're going to be in the 5 spots, so. Give me some Flavian Pratt. We'll see what kind of price we can get. I think this horse might be the one that takes a lot of money, even though the paddock passer was the 5-2 morning line choice. So
Well, and at least this one does have dirt experience, and quality dirt experience has actually run pretty well on the dirt. So, I mean, if nothing else, I think that's the hardest part with some of these that stay on that have nothing but turf runs. They're so much harder to judge. Whereas at least if you get one who's been successful, run good races. I mean, hit the board 3 out of 4 on fast dirt. Didn't run as well on the wet, but that's just circumstance sometimes. I don't know if you can, because I think it's probably the dirt. I assume I didn't see I don't know if it's fast today. I assume the dirt will be fine today is what I imagine. I didn't see anything posted yet, but
I haven't seen a track rating posted
yeah,
yet.
that's my assumption. But yeah, I mean, anytime you have Pratt, you got a horse with the dirt experience, you got the rail coming out of the chute, I think you're in pretty good shape. So I like that one. I'll go down real quick before I stuck with the Paddock Pastor. The 10 actually switched to, wasn't my top choice when it was on the turf. There's another one. The dirt races weren't all that good or anything, and they were 2 races that got washed off the turf. But there was at least a couple of dirt works that I didn't mind so much, and I'm thinking, so the last couple races since the move to Amelia Green, this horse showed 0 speed, way in the back, and still closed pretty well. So at least the form is coming around. And the way I'm looking at it now, they're putting the blinkers on. You have IRAD, so maybe they're looking to get this horse a little bit more engaged early, a little bit closer. Still, hopefully on the dirt, we'll have that same strong kick. And if we get that, and if the transition works and we're a little bit closer, then I think this 10 horse has a better shot than maybe just being stuck too far back as he had been in his last couple.
Definitely going to need to be on the pace.
Yeah.
That far back. I mean, I'm expecting the 8 to get the lead, detail oriented.
I think so. Yep.
With the 9 right there with them, and I'm just hoping the 1 is positioned a little bit closer and doesn't try and come from 6 or 7 back. That's just not a winning formula.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So I'm seeing that people in the chat are saying the MTOs are in, which makes sense. I don't know if where are you seeing something different where they're not? Where are you seeing the 14, 15, 16? Are you seeing them in or out?
I'm looking right now on ADW just to make sure what we have here.
Because I think if they're in, obviously all 3 of those are contenders, and that's what it seems like.
It appears that they are in.
Okay. So I don't know if you handicapped them. I said I like the 14 out of those 3. And again, this is a horse that hasn't really shown an affinity for winning races, as struggles. It's more of a sit too far back, close for a piece, not the horse that you always want. But in a shortened field here, at least this one has the experience on the dirt. Again, there is a pretty good late kick. Maybe Kendrick's been riding this horse stuck in the back, but normally Kendrick has a way to get a horse in it a little bit more. So I preferred Just Licorice. I don't know, out of those 3, do you prefer any of those if you wanted to change your picks?
Not really. I'm going to stick with the 1.
Okay.
It just, again, you're getting further and further out there. We don't even know who's riding the 16 yet. I'm seeing rider TBA on TVG.
Okay. Yeah, and that's funny. The 16 is another horse, 3 for 39 lifetime, 1 for 13 at the distance, but a bunch of seconds. So the 16 looks like a horse. Hey, if you're playing verticals, the 16 looks like a kind of horse you want to include. May not necessarily be the best on the win end, but definitely a horse to include in the mix. Anyone else here you want to hit, or are you good to move on to the next one?
I am good to move on to the next one, which is, I think, the only race that was carded for the dirt.
Yeah, we actually get a dirt race, and we have 0 scratches. Let's talk about this. So the 8th, claiming 12.5, purse 34,000. We're going 6 furlongs for filly and mares 3 and up. We have a full field of 9 with no scratches. We have a relatively decent size. You see the live odds there, 8-5, morning line 9-5, intermittent fast. The 7, let's see where we're going. I'm going with 5-3-7. Chris is going with 5-8-3. So let's let you talk about the 5, since that's where we're both going. the 5, Floge, I think it is pronounced. What do you like about this one?
It just seems to be, for this level of where it's at here, it's dropping back down off of 32 to
Yep.
12 and a half, 1-2 back on the slop at Aqueduct, just sat right off the pace there and made that turn coming from home, and then won by 2.5. I'm just looking for it to replicate that race. I don't think I bet this horse takes a bit of money just off that win. Been claimed a few times, very popular at the claim box.
Definitely, yeah. A little Jamie Ness in there too at one point, which is always interesting. The one thing I looked at, which actually it had nothing to do with the handicapping side. This horse has run 33 times at 4-year-olds. It's crazy. You just don't see that. You don't see that much, even for sort of lower level. I mean, this horse isn't like a super low level horse at super small track where you would see them running that much. I think this is one too that, again, has the top, if you look at time form, has the top time form late pace. The pace is projected. I can actually show the pace on this one since we have a full field. So for anyone who likes time form, which we do on this show, you see the 2, 3, and the 7, Jackie the Joker, Maggie T, and Intermittent Fast all projected on or close to the lead. So the 5 that we like sitting way in the back, but if we can get the pace, if we can get a pace scenario similar to that, and we can get that horse closing, but even like the race that you're talking about that was impressive 2 back, was able to sit a little closer, small field. If we can get this horse, I think, a little bit closer and sit just behind what we hope is a decently hot pace, then I think it's got a pretty good shot. Let me see. The 8. You're going Scarborough Fair. I actually was looking at this horse. I wound up not putting him on my top 3, but I was definitely considering this one. Dan Ward has some nice stats where I saw first after the claim in dirt sprints, 23%, win 52% in the money. What do you like about this one?
Well, I like the fact that Christopher Elliott's riding the horse, and 2 back that effort at 6 furlongs on the slop. Also a winner, just barely on the lead, going to be up and close. And Chuck is correct about that 9 that's dropping 2 classes for Linda, and she's 30% on that double drop.
Yep.
So that one we'll have to contend with as well. But
we can look at that one after this real quick since it was mentioned.
Main guy, her main guy Lascano on that one. But in terms of the 8, I'm just looking for Elliott to get this horse out there and go. Just go, and if you can't get the lead, just get close enough. But we should have a better idea on how the track is playing a little bit later on once we can see a few races. It's showing that it's fast.
But good.
I haven't seen anything, any video or anything of the morning, or any pictures from Twitter. Chuck, what Chuck's out there at Saratoga? What do you think? What's the surface going to be today?
Yeah, throw it in the chat, Chuck, if you can. That would be fantastic. Yeah, the 9. So the 9, Gone and Forgotten, who's the horse that we were talking about in the chat. Yeah, this is one I agree. And you look, likes the distance, has a run over Saratoga that was decent. Again, like most of these, they have a hard time winning races. This one, especially recently, has won a lot of races lifetime, but recently has struggled a bit. But you get Lascano, you get Linda Rice. I think this horse was another one that was sort of in the mix for me, but I wound up going other ways. Let's go to the 3. The 3, you have the 3 in third. I have the 3 in second. That is Maggie T. At first, I was a little shaky with this horse. I wasn't sure what to do. You got the low percentage trainer. You got Rajiv, who's up, who hasn't had the best of season so far. So the low percentage trainer, low percentage jockey, but I think has had some success, even though it was a long time ago at Saratoga. This is definitely her best distance. She's got 3 out of 6 wins, 5 out of 6 in the money. She's got the second time form early pace. So as we saw on that pace projector, she potentially could be up close. And if it does heat up, that's a little question. But I like this horse. And I think maybe after the claim, if we can hold the form together, I think the form is good enough. We had I don't know. What do you think about this one? I struggled. At first, I had this horse a little lower. And then as I kept looking at it, I sort of moved her up a bit.
Well, first of all, it's not Rajiv. It's Romero.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
Did I say Rajiv? My
Yeah.
bad. I did say
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
My bad. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's
My
Romero,
apology. Yes.
and he's the guy that always ends up beating me, which is why I would use him on the ticket. It was just one of those
Hey,
angles.
sometimes you have to do that. My apologies to Romero. My mind is in three different places right now.
And Chuck said it's going to be fast. And remember that the inside yesterday, speed was gold. So
Yes, it
that's
was.
something to watch, obviously, as we get through the first half of the card before we get on. But
And I think a horse like Maggie T is someone who will sit up on the speed or be close, and I think that's a reason to like this horse as well. So that's why I think I started warming to this horse as my handicapping went on. So I think we hit all three of yours. Let me hit my last real quick. Intermittent Fast, who is the favorite, who you don't. Let me ask you first. Do you just not like this horse, or did you not like it at the price?
I just wasn't a fan of this one at all. I know it's going to be up there on the pace and whatnot. At this distance, it's 4 times. It's 2 wins and 1 second.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't one that was tickling my fancy, so I was throwing it out.
Well, it's a weird one because it's one of those horses, and they're always the hardest. Where you're like, yeah, if the horse runs his best race, so the race 3 back, even if it's just from a figure standpoint, that probably wins this race. But that was such an outlier to everything else that she's done. Are you gonna bank on getting a race like this again, or are all the other races, and at 9 to 5 morning line at least, do you sort of go against that? Now, for me, I was like, I think the horse is probably good enough, like you said, likes this distance, and always seems to, except for the last race, and that was off of a 5-month layoff. So now we're second off the layoff. So the wonder is if she can get back at least to the old form. If nothing else, it puts her in the mix. Whether that's a win, whether she's going to win from that, she's just a solid enough horse where I think at least you expect she'll run her race. But will she get mixed up in that hot pace as well? And will that be sort of to her detriment? I guess we're not too sure, but I don't know. 9 to 5 seems a bit stiff for a horse in this race. I just don't trust anyone enough to be under 2 to 1 in a race like this. I don't know if you think that as well.
No, I'm totally with you with that because, and Maker for me is more of my turf go-to guy and not the dirt.
Yes.
And, this one's second off of a layoff and whatnot. And yeah, I know he's 14%, which isn't great. I mean, he's done it 350 times, but perhaps he's just setting this one up for something a bit down the road. And, lower level claimers here. I mean, this one's really dropping from 50K starter allowance down to.
And that was a thing too. Yeah, you're going down to the lower level claimers like this. I just from a class standpoint, I think this one, it's just hard to leave. If I was playing a pick 5, it'd be hard to leave this one off, especially if you think you have some decent opinions elsewhere, even if you would hope not to have this one. Anyone else you want to hit here? Or are you good on this one?
I am good. We can move on.
Let's move on. To the one that's staying on the turf. So the 9th race, the Quick Call Stakes. We're going 5.5 on the turf, 175,000 for 3-year-old, mostly colts. We have 2 scratches: the number 3 Grayscale and the number 8 Soon to Be King. So we're left with a field of 6. Morning line favorite, Governor Sam. Real quick, before we get to our picks, I have to give my shout out to my pops. My pop plays names generally now. He's 80, so now he's done with the handicapping as much, and he plays names. My dad's name is Sam. My brother's name is Joe. So this race is perfectly set up for my dad to hit this 1-2 exacta. So Pop, if you're watching, which I doubt you are, but if you were watching, good luck. I know 1-2 will be your play. So now our picks, though, we are not going with the 1 and the 2. You're going 1-2. I am throwing my brother out of this. So I'm going 4-2-7. You're actually going 2-1-4. So you're playing the Sam Visco exacta here. What do you like about Governor Sam? I mean, there's a lot to like. I think he makes sense as a pretty obvious favorite.
Yeah, coming back third off the layoff, ran well in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint back in Del Mar. So starting the campaign up here to kind of get back to that level and whatnot. We got George Weaver, Irad. There's a lot to like there. This horse is 3 for 4 at the distance. Really,
Yep.
the only unknown here is going to be whether or not it can handle the yielding turf. But the Jack trainer is 31%, and I expect him to get this horse out on the lead and go.
No, I could see that, and I mean, I guess the only concern, and people can see my crappy notes. I wouldn't try and understand my bad writing there, but the one concern, not concern as much, is that you're going to get a short price on a horse, and if you care about this from a figure standpoint, doesn't necessarily tower over the field. And I know that's an angle that if you do get the 6-5 and you don't tower over just from a figure standpoint, in the last couple the last two races, the last one was on the dirt, but still the last two weren't as, two back was under even money and still lost. And then the last one was favored, even though it was taken off the turf and still didn't run necessarily his best race. So if you're getting a 6-5 price or somewhere in that range, maybe that's the one concern that I would have. I'll let you talk, since we were talking about the exact, I'll let you talk about the one, Jet Sweep Joe, why you had this one in there as well. Let me ask you first, do you look at Governor Sam as sort of a single if you were playing multi races or doubles or something? Or do you think they're like a horse like the one has a shot to win the race?
Could be a single. I'm going to want to see how the front half of the card goes before I would make a single decision. But if the track's playing the way I think it's going to be playing, then yes, I can see singling the two.
Okay.
Jet Sweep Joe will be one of these ones that should sit off the pace and do what he did last time to win at Woodbine, going 5 furlongs, going an extra half a panel here, but did win last year a listed stakes, the Skidmore, at 5.5 on a good turf course, and they're rating this one yielding.
Yes.
Didn't win, but just got beat a neck there. So I think just trying to sit off the speed here would be a better option for Jet Sweep Joe.
Yeah, it's a funny one because the couple. Sorry to interrupt you there. The couple races where you see the win, the 2 seconds, was a little closer to, or even on the pace in those. And then when sits a little further back, although 2 back, still wasn't able to get it done. But and then last time close, so it's kind of versatile. So you can make a couple different trips with this horse. So I think you figure Governor Sam is going, and Governor Sam is going to be on a pretty, I would say, a relatively loose enough lead. But you figure Jet Sweep Joe from the one could just sit that pocket. Now, the point would be, is he good enough to sort of attack and overtake a horse like Governor Sam? You assume Governor Sam may not have to be at his best for that to happen. But if he isn't, and Jet Sweep Joe is sitting right off, then I think that's a decent play. And I think that makes sense if we can get that kind of trip out of him.
Yeah, and that was the other one was the 4, which I expect to kind of have that same trip that that Jet Sweep Joe gets if he replicates what he did last time, coming off a layoff here. Miguel Clement takes over for his father. Manny Franco up, certainly capable connections to get this one in. But the same question is with Jet Sweep Joe. Is he good enough to beat Governor Sam?
Well, and this was my top pick is the 4, no evidence, as we talked about. The thing I liked, this horse only has the 4 races. So I think, and incrementally, it hasn't really been like super improving each race, but my thought is at least there's only 4 races under this horse. Maybe there is still, you can get that one jump where you get that sort of upside move. And if so, then puts right in the mix, but he's super consistent, as you can see on the screen there. Did lose to Governor Sam, but that was last year in the debut. Now I think we're getting a little bit more comfortable. Haven't been able to finish the last 2, but one interesting thing, if you look at the last race, next out, all 3 runners came back and won out of the last race. Most Handsome did it in the Roar, actually, which Ortley Avenue, I think, is in our next race and ran second. But you get 3 next out winners out of that last one. So that could be a pretty good indicator. And again, I think this one has a little bit of upside. And if you're going to get a better price than you're getting on Governor Sam, and this horse, at least from a figure standpoint, isn't far off what Governor Sam generally runs. Now, again, that one outlier, but I look at this 89, and again, not that figures are everything, but it's something we gauge it on. it's the Breeders' Cup. The Breeders' Cup, you're always going to get a little bit of a higher buyer. You got better horses, and not that he ran really well to run third in that race, but that buyer it looks like the outlier. So if you're getting a upper 70s kind of race, I think a horse like No Evidence can potentially surpass that just from racing. So that's why I leaned for a bit in looking for a little bit of an upset. I think we hit. I had the 7, and actually, I'm sorry. Ortley Avenue's in this race. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I had this one in. I had this one in third. I went with just again a little bit of an inexperienced horse came out of that race, which turned out to be again that's the same race we just looked at, and that's a different one, but beat Matty Goal, who came back and won a stakes race next out, and then. So maybe that's a decent race, and we see Most Handsome was the one that also beat my horse, the 4, last out. So at least we know Most Handsome seems like a pretty quality horse. And I thought Ortley Avenue's another one, came out with an 80 buyer winning at the Synth on debut, then runs a solid race to a pretty decent horse second out. Now, again, if we can get a move forward and you're getting a decent price, I feel like this is one that if you can get in the triple and if you could beat Governor Sam, then I think you can maybe get something to pay a little bit in the feature today. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that horse? Anything negative, positive?
I saw he was talked about on one of the NYRA shows I saw over the weekend as well. One of 3 of the Weaver horses, and he wins 22% in turf sprints, so has some nice works coming in. He could possibly do a Chad Brown exacta in this sprint, and I guess. As long as we talked about 2, we should probably talk about the third, which is the 6 insubordination. So
yeah,
dropping this in here as well. And oftentimes when you do this, maybe you have to include the highest price of all of those as well,
yeah.
Right? So,
I mean, we've all seen the other Chad or the other Chad win races. So why not the other Weaver or the other, in this case, the other Weaver win one? So yeah, that makes sense to me. And this, I definitely looked at this one. I mean, coming out of a couple stakes races already where ran pretty well. Tank, we saw, I know Tank didn't run well, but Tank ran I think it was last week, right? And lost. But there was a couple comments about the 5, I think. Bob Segura, Ray Cromley like the 5. You have any thoughts on the 5 here? This is a weird one because you figure 2 back, 3 back when was winning, jumped on the lead last time, way in the back, didn't break at all. Do you just look at a race like that potentially and say, you know what, that's a toss, was completely out of what his element is, totally against what he does, and if he can get back to doing what he does, although if he tries to go to the lead, he's going to have Governor Sam to contend with. But what do you think about a horse like this with a race like that last on the form?
Well, the thing that bothers me the most is Pratt rode this horse last time it ran, right?
Yep.
And he's not in this race anymore, or not in this race. I mean, he might have been in with scratches. No, this is the stakes, so we're on. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, why would he have not have had? Was he on the 3 or the 8?
I can't tell actually.
Yeah,
so.
I can't tell either.
Oh, no, he was on the 3 grayscale because I actually had that horse in my top 3. So yeah, he had gone to grayscale, who I kind of liked.
He liked that horse better than the 5, but I'm sure he'd rather be riding on this one. I don't know. Neil Drysdale used to be a great trainer out in California, and he used to be really good with distance horses on the turf. But Kerr has kind of fallen off a little bit, but he's really going to have to, I think, step up in terms of trying to catch Governor Sam. And at 5.5 furlongs, if he breaks last again and he's 5 lengths back,
then I think he's done.
Yeah, I think he's done.
I mean, you figure Saez will be aggressive. I mean, at least you're getting Saez, who a horse who's shown good speed. So I think if you like this horse, that's the positive, is that you get Saez. He can get to the, he could push. And again, if you're someone like me who's looking at a horse like maybe No Evidence, or even you who likes Jet Sweep Joe a bit, maybe you hope that the 5 goes and the 5 does break and Saez is aggressive and you do soften up Governor Sam a bit. If you're looking to try and beat Governor Sam, I think that's the way to do it. Let's move to the last one. We'll try and zip through this one a bit. The 10th race. Yeah.
That exact scenario happened to Mr. Miller yesterday. He pushed all in on a horse at Saratoga in the NYRA contest and completely missed the break, and it was done.
Oh, see, when then you're done. I mean, there's nothing that pisses you off more, right? If you go into a race, and then as soon as they break poorly, you're like, shit, that's pretty much it now. It's not even worth watching. So the 10th to close this thing out, we got maiden claiming 50. We're going a mile out of this one's out of the chute as well, I think, correct?
Yeah.
$50,000 purse. Maidens, filly and mares, 3-year-olds and up. State bred, we have now so I have to count them 1, 2, 5, 8. I think we have a field of 8 going here, and the morning line favorite, who's a soft one, is still in the number 3, Wild Mischief, Pratt and Maker. And we are going, we'll start with you again. So Chris is going with 2, 1, 8, and I am going with 7, 3, 10. So we have 6 completely different horses in this race. But we'll start with you again, since you are the co-host. The number 2, Vino Samara. What do you like about this one?
Well, I would have preferred this one to be on the turf as well. This one's kind of in a spot for me. 8 to 1 on the morning line. Velasquez gets aboard. I'm just hoping that he can get this horse out again, going with inside horses. I think 8 is the max for the Wilson chute. I don't think they want to go any more than 8 horses for there. Yeah. But they got a decent combo. They're 12% or something like that. I'm just hoping this horse can break and get to the lead. That's all.
I mean, and again, it's you have the dirt experience, and was actually, at least from a figure standpoint, was improving on the dirt. So that's something. Again, I think in a race like this, when you're looking at a bunch of scratches and you're sort of scrambling, it's tough to know, okay, who's going to go back in their dirt form. I know you still like the one a bit, and that one came off. That was one that was interesting.
And we got a drop here too, Pete, dropping from 90.
From the 90s maiden special. Yes. Yeah. Which again, let me ask you for a philosophical question. I know Paul, when Paul's on, he always talks about how the maiden special to maiden claiming drop is basically like one of the biggest advantages you can have in some of these. How do you gauge a horse? And this one is kind of like that, who at the maiden special weight level just wasn't running all that great, and then comes down to the maiden claimer. Do you sort of forgive those maiden special weight not so good races just because how big the drop is sometimes? Or is it more case by case?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they're running against better horses, right? Yeah. The horse broke 6 last time. It broke 3rd before at 6, 2. So it's on a path right now to break good in this one. And
no, I agree.
If you can get out of the gate and go, then you're hopefully got a chance with this one. But lots of scratches here. Like I said, the other 2 I had, the 1 and the 8 are both out as well.
Yeah. So. And let me know if you want to change your picks on the screen. I can do that while I talk. Let's talk the 3. So the 3 is the favorite, at least now. Again, it's Pratt. So probably, but if you look again, this is sort of going back to the question I just asked. When you go to the dirt form for this horse, and actually this horse doesn't really run all that well on anything for the most part, except for the second start. But if you look at the dirt form, I mean, I know it's maiden special, and now we're dropping down, but we're going 7th by 11, 6th by 13, and it's sort of the last 3 races hasn't broke at all, just dead last.
No, so, this is not a spot where you don't want to break. You definitely want to break well here.
Yeah.
Get out and get going. And you just have to question whether this horse really just wants to pass anybody at this point.
Howard said he's going to pop on for a minute. Okay. Fire away, Howard, if you would like. So we have Maker, I had 30% win, 60% in the money, maiden special to maiden. Oh, that was on turf. My bad. Never mind. As I read that, I thought I switched it for the dirt. My apologies there. I'll go down real quick while we wait. I'll keep an eye out for Howard in the back here. I switched my pick to the 7, calling an audible once they came off the turf. And again, this is just here, let me see. We'll bring Howard in while I talk. Hey, what's up, Howard? How's it going?
What's up, everyone?
Howdy, Howard.
How are we doing?
Good.
We're doing fantastic. We're discussing the final race of the day.
I appreciate that. Just real quick, guys. I don't want to interrupt too much here. We're going to be going to the track soon. Unfortunately, Mother Nature not cooperating this weekend. A few quick things. I sent out an email to everyone who receives our tip sheet. I'm sure you talked about it, Pete and Chris. I don't want to necessarily come on and apologize. I just want to make it clear that, and Pete, you can speak more of this if you want at the end of the show, if you haven't already, but we write these tip sheets several days in advance. And when when the weather doesn't cooperate, obviously our tip sheet's not going to be as accurate or as useful, because of the races are off the turf. And so I know you did a great job with the tip sheet today, Pete. I saw it, obviously sent it out. Good luck to you with your picks, but obviously, you have to take all that with a grain of salt, right? I mean, based on the scratch.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I did not mention that at the start. But yeah,
Okay.
so if people do get the tip sheet, actually, it's a couple of my plays. I didn't even look back yet to see how they look, but I know a couple of the plays are in races that either were on the dirt or stayed on. Actually, had one in the quick call, so that one stayed on. So I would still sort of ride with that one. But yeah, no, that's a great point. It's tough. Yeah, we write them the day before, the night before, and you don't want to write them to expect coming off the turf, and then they stay on the turf. So you're kind of screwed. You're basically screwed either way. And we can't write two different ones for
it does look
each
like
edition.
I was looking at, I won't talk about the W word, but today should be better in terms of
we've had you've been proud of us. We had some weather discussion live from Saratoga. We had somebody in the chat talking.
Well, according to Paul, it never rains up in Saratoga, so we wish. The other thing, really quick, and if you don't want to show it, Pete, well, actually, two other quick things. For people that watched our live show, Chris did a great job with it yesterday. Just FYI, we finished third in the NYRA contest yesterday. Had a nice overall score of about $2,600 between myself, Patrick, and Ryan. Not Ryan Anderson, but Ryan Mistretta, my new good friend, great friend of Patrick's. But anyway, we finished third. We had a big score on a straight all-in exact in the Diana 4-1, which got us about $1,700. So
you're sweating that one out down the lane, right?
that was amazing. That's why I'm slightly hoarse. Last thing, and you don't show the replay because I'm going to log off here in 30 seconds. There is a ridiculous gallop out special in race 4 today. Race 4 today. And you have to watch. There's a great thing about NYRA, Chris. I don't know how you feel about gallop outs, Chris, but the great thing about NYRA, Pete, as you know, is they continually show after the wire, like for several seconds. The number 14, Yankee Doodle, who is the only main track only, as you can see, entered in that race. It's an off the turf race. Looked horrible for the entire race. It was slop. Check out, this is good education, since I know you guys are going on a little bit longer today, and I could be wrong about this horse today, but again, this is race 4.
What number was he?
This is the 4 in this race.
The 4.
He's the red cap outside the 3. And I don't know your impressions, guys, but I think it's clear he didn't like the slop. If you watch Sorry.
Yeah, Drake.
She's like climbing with her front. She's just taking a lot of dirt. Her head is like turned eventually. If you watch a little, like she just looks really, really uncomfortable. And if you go ahead, there's not much to see. She's going to keep dropping back, by the way, if you want to watch how well she's out of the screen, right? Ridiculous out of the screen. I know people at home are like, Howard, why are we showing this? Watch. Okay. If you don't mind, Pete, wait, look how far back the 4 is, right? Look at in the chicklets.
Everybody can see right here.
Right. Yep. So the 4, you'll see the 4 coming to the picture. The 4 loses by what? 12 lengths, 15 right there. Okay. And I almost stopped watching. Like, let me just see what happens here. And again, it might not matter. Like, hold on. I know you're like, Howard, where's the horse? Just hold on a second.
There she is.
Now, to me, and people could say that, Howard, that's way after the way. To me, that matters. That's the way I handicap, ladies and gentlemen. Take it or leave it. I don't know. You guys can give me crap after I leave the show here. But the horse had energy, and to me, clearly didn't like the slop at all. And most importantly, guys, is the only main track only in this race. It's an off-the-turf dirt race coming out of the chute. My play of the morning I had to get on for this. Number 14, Yankee Doodle. Probably not 8-1, guys. I'm guessing like 6-1, maybe even 5-1. But anyway, just want to throw that horse out there. Everyone, race 4 today at Saratoga. Pete and Chris, thanks for covering my butt this weekend. Great job, everyone. You can go ahead and finish the show. Good luck to everyone today at the spa.
Good luck today, man. Get some
Bye,
winners.
guys.
All right,
Thanks.
we'll see you later.
Yeah, that 14 that horse is an 8-hole on the
In the 8-hole. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you're just not going to close from back there.
Are you a gallop? We have conversations about gallop outs on the show a lot. Are you a gallop out person? Do you care one way or the other?
I care slightly. I mean, that one just doesn't really impress me because it's the dirt, it's the track surface and everything else. But
yeah,
I'm more concerned with you calling an audible here on the 7 in this race and thinking that today, the 17th time, is going to be the charm.
You know, I'm glad we got back to that. That is not a horse that I would normally play, but you know, every once in a while, even the old vets like this. I mean, she's only 4, so she's not old in age, but she's old in race time, and they always think you could catch one. And I mean, look at her; she's knocking on the door. She's been getting better. Again, at least she's run. You see, 3 out of 4. This is the disappointing part. She's run on a wet track 4 times, 3 seconds, and you see the last 3 of the last 4 were on wet track. The last 2, so I don't know if it comes up fast, none of that matters. But she's run well on a fast track. She's 8 for 10. Again, it's just a horse that's going to hit the board. Maybe she gets lucky and finally can get her nose on the wire like she almost did last time. So I'm gonna take the underdog here and take the 0 and we'll take the 0 for 16 and we're gonna make it 1 for 17 today. All right, let's get to our best bets. Again, these are we tried to change these obviously to make sure that we had them to take an account of the scratches. So Chris's bet, you're going in the 9th. You're just going a simple win bet on the 2. You're going with Governor Sam as your best bet. Again, is there a certain odds level where you would not play this horse? Or would you play it at, say, the 6-5 morning line?
I wouldn't take anything less than even money, and I don't think we're going to get that. But, you know, this was just the Captain Obvious pick after all the scratches and everything with the weather. I mean, I had to pick something in the last 5 races.
Yeah.
You know, I could pivot that to the 2 in the next as well, in the 10th. I'd probably do a 2-2 double there, and maybe a 2-7 with your calling an audible.
Yeah.
You know, Chuck Brower does like the 3 in that last race there with Pratt up for Maker, second off for Maker as well. So
nice.
There'll be some things there, but yeah, Captain Obvious in the stakes race number 2.
Hey, I mean, you know, it's tough even like I know that it's silly. It doesn't really matter in the long term, but when you're doing a show like this and you're trying to come up with top plays, you don't want to force feed one just to have something. So you want to play something at least you have a little bit of confidence in. I'll go with mine real quick. So I stuck with this one even though it did come off. I was going with a tri-key box. I went with my 10, which is Golden Rule, 12-1 morning line. I don't know what the odds will be now after the scratches. And I just did a tri-key box with the 1, 4, 5, 7. Those were the 4 other horses. Actually, final score, that horse Malice that I like, Augustinian, who was the favorite. And I went with that Free State horse who, again, I liked more on the turf, but I'll stick with it anyway. And then in the 9th, I'm going against your top pick. We're going head-to-head there. I'm going with the 4, No Evidence, see if we can't beat Governor Sam, see if we can't knock you and my dad out of contention in that race. A few final comments we'll see here. Thanks, Katie. Katie always gives me the win in the best bets even before she sees the picks, so I always take that. We got Brad Anderson here. Greetings, Pete and Chris. Breakfast at Wimbledon and Saratoga Ponies. By the way, Yannick Sinner, Italian, going to win Wimbledon today, hopefully. So we're rooting for that on top of the races. Any final thoughts, Chris? You have anything either today or just in general opening weekend of Saratoga?
I think it's been a good opening weekend. It's just been kind of a downer with the weather and the off the turf races and whatnot. But back to Wimbledon for just a minute. The ladies yesterday, that hasn't happened in a long time.
6-0, 6-0. Yeah, that was rough.
57 minutes, man.
I mean, I watched pretty much the whole thing, and it was pretty. She wasn't even close in most of the games, and
No.
it wasn't. There weren't even many where I thought she could actually steal a game from her. I was rooting for Swiatek, so I was happy with the result. But yeah, you don't want anyone to lose like that because that could be detrimental, unfortunately.
I'm looking forward to next week, and hopefully we get some decent weather and we get back to Saratoga as we know it. And then we've also got Del Mar coming up.
Yes.
Excited about that because we might be doing some Friday Del Mar shows here due to the late start on the East Coast. So that
would be awesome if that happens.
Fun.
I'm a Del Mar fan. I know we have a bunch of West Coast, Ryan, we have Noah, so we have Jackson. So we got some West Coast fans on this show. So we love when Del Mar starts ourselves too. So
and they're always on the turf.
They're always on the turf. Yeah, we don't have to worry about the rain as much. It's very, 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 very rare when you have to worry about the rain there. All right, so I'll wrap it up for our pop-in guest, Howard Kravitz, who's in Saratoga. Good luck to him. And if Patrick's still there, good luck to those guys. For my co-host today, Chris Walsh, I'm your host, Pete Visco, signing off on episode 2 of the Summer Meets Saratoga today. Like we always like to say on here, you know what to do, everyone. Let's crush those bets. Take care. See you, everybody.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.